Imagining football without Diego Armando Maradona is near enough impossible. Not only is the Argentine maverick one of just a handful of footballers who have truly transcended the beautiful game, he is also indisputably one of the most talented players to ever set foot on a pitch. Diego Armando Maradona was an Argentine professional footballer, widely regarded as one of the greatest football players of all time. He was one of the two joint winners of the FIFA Player of the 20th Century award. Maradona's vision, passing, ball control and dribbling skills were combined with his small stature, 1.65 meters, which gave him a low center of gravity, allowing him to maneuver better than most other football players. He would often dribble past multiple opposing players on a run. His presence and leadership on the field had a great effect on his team's general performance, while he would often be singled out by the opposition. In addition to his creative abilities, he was also possessed an eye for goal and was known to be a free kick specialist. A precocious talent, Maradona was given the nickname El Pibe de Oro, the Golden Boy, a name that stuck with him throughout his career. Raised in a shanty town in a province of Buenos Aires, Maradona was given a ball to play with aged 3 and never looked back. Diego Maradona was born the 30th of October 1960 and grew up under poor conditions in Villa Fiorito near Buenos Aires. 3 years old, Diego received a ball as a birthday present from a cousin, and it became a dear companion from the start. His exceptional talent was obvious from a very young age. When he was 8 years old, he came to Argentinos Juniors for trials. When the coaches saw what he could do with the ball, they asked Maradona to give them his identification card. They simply couldn't believe that the boy was really that young. In reality, he was small for his age. Once it became clear that Maradona wasn't lying, the coaches decided to devote themselves to improving his skills. Even before he was ready to play matches for the senior team, the prodigy was in the spotlight. When Argentinos Juniors played, he would perform tricks with the ball at halftime. The reputation grew and he would be guesting a television show doing tricks with both the ball and an orange. At 15 years old, Maradona made his official debut for Argentinos Juniors' first team and became the youngest player ever in the Primera. A few months later, he made his debut in the Argentina national team, in a friendly against Hungary. This happened in early 1977, the year before Argentina would be hosting the World Cup. Cesar Luis Menotti, the coach of the national team, finally decided to exclude the big talent from the World Cup squad. Diego was devastated. Maradona spent 5 years at the Argentinos Juniors, scoring 116 goals in 166 appearances. During this time, he met Claudia Villafan, who some years later would become his wife. When the time came to move on, he was able to choose between several well-paid offers. Although River Plate offered the most money, Maradona made his decision clear. He wanted to play for Boca Juniors, the team he supported from his childhood. One of his dreams would be fulfilled after Boca winning the league title that season. Despite the fact that he would only play a single season for Boca, Maradona made it a special one. With 28 goals in 40 appearances, he led the team to a Primera Division title. At the end of the season, he took part at his first World Cup. By all accounts, it was not a great tournament for El Diego. Due to internal tensions within the team and the opposing players fouling him at every opportunity, Maradona couldn't assert his dominance. After losing against Brazil, in a match that Maradona received a red card after kicking a Brazilian player in the midriff, and Italy, Argentina failed to qualify for the semi-finals. Still, this setback didn't stop Maradona from being transferred to FC Barcelona for a world record fee of $7.3 million. In the 26th of June 1983 El Clasico, Maradona became the first Barcelona player to receive a standing ovations from Real Madrid fans. Still, the Argentinian star didn't make the great impact in La Liga many had expected from him. The circumstances were not ideal. On the pitch, Diego was constantly fouled, culminating in a broken leg after a horrific tackle by Goicoechea. And outside the pitch, the relations with the staff was sometimes bad, and there were numerous parties. Maradona made his first acquaintance with cocaine in his Barcelona days. Finally, a controversial field incident against Bilbao in front of King Juan Carlos and another 100,000 fans forced Barcelona executives to transfer Maradona out. What happened was one of the ugliest brawls on a pitch between two top football teams and with Maradona in the midpoint. In 1984, Maradona was transferred to Napoli for another world record fee of $13 million. Upon his arrival in Naples, a local newspaper noted that the city lacked schools, buses, houses, employment, and sanitation, but none of that mattered as they had Maradona. Once he saw the 75,000 Neapolitans at his presentation, Maradona decided that he would repay their love by giving it all on the pitch. The Argentinian surely made an impression in his first Serie A season. Napoli came third after Juventus and Roma, but much more was to come. In the meantime, the World Cup finals was to take place in Mexico. By the time the 1986 World Cup rolled around, there was no doubt about who the best football player in the world was. This time, there was no stopping him, with violent fouls or otherwise. He was simply too fast and too powerful for everyone else, and the referees didn't allow the foul play that had been an effective method for the opponents 4 years ago. Thanks to his low center of gravity, ball control, dribbling skills, vision, passing, and reaction times, Maradona exerted his power against every player and every team he faced at the tournament. After eliminating old rivals Uruguay, Argentina was set to face England in the quarter-finals. This was the match where Maradona's legend was fully cemented. Just 4 minutes after sparkling his team to a 1-0 lead by scoring with his hand, an incident which he later called the hand of God, Maradona did something even more unthinkable. He received the ball in his team's half and then ran past 5 English players before slotting the ball past goalkeeper Shilton. 11 touches, 60 meters. The goal of the century. Maradona followed this up by scoring a brace against Belgium in the semi-finals, setting up the final match against West Germany. Though the Germans managed to contain him by double marking, Maradona still decided the match by assisting Burruchaga for the winning goal. After leading his country to the first World Cup title in their history, Maradona was unanimously voted player of the tournament. Following the triumphant end to the World Cup, Maradona returned to club football. In his first season back, he led Napoli to a Serie A title. This was the first time that a team from the south of the country won a league title, and it happened at a time when north-south tensions were at a peak. After finishing the following 2 seasons as runners-up, Napoli won their second Scudetto in 1990. Despite the success on the field, his personal life was getting worse and worse. In the football-crazy Naples, the ball genius had become almost a semi-god but on the same time a victim for his own success, with fans wanting him to as their property. Diego started to look for refuges. He seemed to have vague connections with the Giuliano clan, a powerful part of the Camorra crime syndicate, and was seen on a party arranged by the boss Carmine Giuliano. And unbeknownst to many, he was harboring a cocaine addiction since the mid-80s. Eventually, this impeded his ability to play football. Though that didn't stop from taking Argentina to another World Cup final in 1990, West Germany was too tough of an obstacle to overcome this time. The tournament was played in Italy, Maradona's second home country at this time. When Argentina played against the home nation in Napoli, the Neapolitans were saluting their idol and many of them had a hard time to decide which team they favored. But the life in Naples got to the worse. Following a failed drug test for cocaine, Maradona finally left Napoli in 1991. He got a 15-month suspension during his drinking, and cocaine abuse continued until he finally accepted a detox program and soon began to train again. After the suspension, he joined for Sevilla, coached by the former Argentine national coach Carlos Bilardo. Maradona would play only 26 matches in his new Spanish club, and it was far from the success that had been in Napoli. After a debacle with the coach after being substitute in a game against Burgos in June 1993, Maradona had done his last match in Sevilla. He returned again to Argentina and joined Newell's Old Boys, but this part of his career would only involve 7 games. 33 years old, he recorded his final 2 national team appearances at the 1994 World Cup, where an impressive comeback on the field was overshadowed by a positive drug test for ephedrine doping. He finished his national team career with 34 goals in 91 appearances. Maradona's last club would be Boca Juniors before calling it quits in 1997. Despite his controversial personal life, Maradona's impact on the game of football can't be denied. When asked about Maradona, Michel Platini said, "The things I could do with a football, he could do with an orange." Diego was a unique talent who spent years mystifying defenders with his quick feet and outrageous dribbling, and to this day we have only seen a few players who have come close to matching his legacy. The fact is, whether you love or hate him, Maradona has always been remarkably difficult to ignore. In Argentina and Naples, however, it's more simple: he is a god.